I'll be the first person to admit that over the last few years, I haven't been excited about zombies. MW3, I was briefly excited before launch, but that was really misplaced, and I thought it was going to be something that it didn't end up being. I've really slowed down the uploads on my main channel, and over here, I talk about stuff that's really old in the community. But that all really changed. I was kind of excited for Black Ops 6 Zombies after we got the Terminus gameplay. It's similar to Black Ops Cold War, which is something that I really enjoyed a couple of years ago, and I was really excited. I'm like, you know what, hey, this is going to be a really good year for us, but that doesn't even come close to the hype that I've got from Liberty Falls. So if you've somehow been living under a rock, for Black Ops 6 there's going to be two maps at launch that are both round-based zombies. The first is Terminus, which is a really big map, which is sort of like Outbreak, where it's going to be round-based, but there's going to be world events and stuff like that, but it's going to be a huge map. For the other map, Liberty Falls, it's going to be a lot smaller from what we can tell. As of the time I'm recording this video, we haven't actually seen any gameplay for it, but from what we can assume, it's going to be a smaller map than that. Yesterday, however, we got the cinematic trailer for Liberty Falls, and it's probably the best piece of media that Zombies has ever created. And I'm being totally 100% serious. It's better than the Giants intro cutscene, it's better than any of the stuff that was delivered during Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, it is so good. That's what's going to be showing on the screen right now, and yes, that is Edward Richtofen with his family. If you haven't kept up with the Dark Ether story at all, I do not blame you. Basically, in this version of the universe, Richtofen actually had a family, he had a wife and a child, and during that, he was actually targeted by the CIA, which, really weird, yes I know, but basically Gregory Weaver and Samantha Maxis actually bombed his fucking house. Or they set it on fire, it's kind of the same thing. But anyway, in the process of that, they were trying to kill Richtofen, but they ended up killing his wife and his child. So after that, Richtofen decided, you know what, I need to actually go and become the director of Requiem. Then that's where this whole plot that's been going through Black Ops Cold War, MW3, everything like that, that's where all of this has kind of been leading. And we actually get a lot of story here. We get to see Richtofen's family in the flesh, sort of, but it's kind of a dream. Then when Richtofen wakes up, he actually is sort of in the middle of a new zombie apocalypse that's going on, and he grabs the fucking Wonderwaff and starts defending himself and the whole of Liberty Falls against the zombie outbreak. It's really cool, and this is some of the best just animations I've ever seen in Zombies. Yes, I get it's a trailer, it's not gameplay, but it's still really well made. Then near the end of the trailer, he's actually taken into the Dark Ether by Samantha Maxis, who we still don't know how she's able to do this yet in the storyline, but she was able to take control of the Dark Ether, grab him through the real world, and then pull him into the Dark Ether. Then there's so much more storyline going on with the big thing afterwards. That's kind of the circle that the Forsaken was supposed to be in, but it's actually supposed to be Maxis's wife, like, you know, Dr. Maxis's wife. Kind of really weird. The whole thing is all over the place. I'd be here explaining it for a million years if I had to. The point of everything that I just said was to make it very clear that I am extremely excited for this. This trailer was a piece of fucking art. Absolute cinema. The one thing that I always really hated about the Ether storyline was that they made a lot of beautiful trailers and stuff, but they didn't actually explain too much of what was going on. It was just Jason Blundell, I'm going to show you, but not actually tell you anything, and that was really annoying because, yes, we were always guessing, and that was really fun at times, but also other times it was super frustrating. Whereas with this trailer, we actually get to see Richtofen's family. We get to see that he's still having nightmares about this whole thing however many years later, and then we get to see the actual events of Liberty Falls that are starting to happen, which actually progress the story of the Dark Ether storyline, and this is on the back of the MW3 like last Easter egg that we got a couple days ago as well, where Ava Jensen, who is another character who's actually Samantha Max's daughter, yes, I know, kind of weird, but bear with me, but still, so she is actually in Liberty Falls as well, and she is someone who has Dark Ether powers. It just seems like everything is really starting to come together for the Dark Ether, and as a consequence of that, the Zombies community in general seems really fucking excited. I've seen so many people on Twitter over the last couple of hours just sitting here praising the Liberty Falls trailer, praising everything going on with Black Ops 6 Zombies. And that's like 90% of the battle with the Zombies community at this point, is just getting people to even want to care about what's going on, or wanting to play the game. Sure, yeah, for Cold War, people were a little bit skeptical going into it, but they were kind of excited. But then for Vanguard, people, as soon as that launched, people were like, alright, I don't give a shit, it's Vanguard. Then it was the same sort of story for MW3 Zombies. There was a couple of people that were excited, but most of the hardcore Zombies community, so to say, just really wasn't vibing with it, to be quite honest. It's probably been at least 6 or 7 years since the whole community kind of just came together and said, hey, I can actually just be unironically excited about this. The whole Black Ops Cold War style of gameplay might not be your cup of tea, but yes, they are actually trying to make the game a little bit harder. If you haven't seen all of the terminus details, then you should actually really check it out. They are trying to make it back into a little bit more of the older style of gameplay. Before I get off track though, it seems like everybody is genuinely excited, and so am I. I'm actually the type of person that I cried when I saw the first reveal for Blood of the Dead. I am a man, I am 25 years old, and I am not afraid to admit that. That's probably the most hyped that I had ever been for zombies up to that point. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that I cried over the Liberty Falls trailer? No, but I was equally excited. We hadn't actually seen Richtofen in any part of the story outside of the ending of Forsaken, where we saw him for like half a second, but pretty much everyone just assumed that it was going to be a case where he was more or less heard about and people were going to talk about him in the story, but we didn't really ever see him going forward. Now with Black Ops 4 though, he's actually becoming a big part of the story again, and that's really fucking cool. I have seen a couple of people saying that, oh, we're just going back in the same loop of doing Maxis and then Richtofen, and it's just gonna go in this big circle. Yes, I kind of agree that there should be new characters, but there actually is. But they're just including these old characters as well because those are the ones that people care about. And when I first saw that trailer, I was sitting there with the biggest, stupidest possible grin on my face. I was extremely excited. I went in to tell my wife, and I was sitting there, she was playing a completely different game. She didn't even know that this whole thing had released, but I'm sitting there talking about it like an absolute idiot, and she's like, dude, you need to go make a video about it. And here we are, because genuinely, this could probably be the best time to be a Zombies fan since Black Ops 3. Yes, I know that there's so much hype going into Black Ops 4, like an unbelievable fucking amount. We will probably never get that again. But this is probably the actual best time to be a fan and have our expectations not be completely crushed since Black Ops 3 Zombies. Because Black Ops Cold War was super successful at onboarding people into the Zombies community. They might not have stayed and become super hardcore fans just yet, but this might actually be able to convert them. There were so many people that beforehand for Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 just felt like Zombies was getting too complicated for them to really want to get invested in. So introducing the really good story and getting the hardcore Zombies community to actually give a shit about what's going on in the story and in the game and wanting to engage with everything, plus having this style of gameplay that is more conducive to getting more casual players or the general Call of Duty player onboarded, is going to be so good. Now there's probably going to be a couple of you that are watching this video and still having your reservations about the whole thing and trying not to get too excited because we don't actually know what the game is like yet, but honestly we kind of do. There's been so much information about Terminus, there's been gameplay that's out there that we kind of know what's going on in Black Ops 6 Zombies already. So if you're one of those people who isn't outright going to hate it just because it's not like some of the older games, then you're going to have so much good shit to do this year. The one thing that I'm still holding on to a little bit that might be a hurdle for Black Ops 6 Zombies is the post-launch content. Treyarch tends to start out really hot with Call of Duty Zombies, where they have a great launch map, but then as the DLC season goes further along, they kind of get a bit weaker. DLC 2 and DLC 3 tend not to be as good as DLCs 1 and 4. Like, sure, obviously that's not going to line up 100% of the time, but just historically that's kind of how it goes, and then they do a big ending for DLC 4, and then that gets everybody excited for the next game, so there is a possibility that the DLC maps don't end up being as good as we're kind of hoping for. A lot of the stuff that we see in Terminus and a lot of the gameplay changes are actually stuff that the community had been asking for upwards of 10 years, so it seems like Treyarch is a lot more receptive this go around to actual community feedback rather than just shutting their ears off. Yeah, don't worry, I thought that was a really weird phrase as well, don't worry about it. But basically all we need now is just for the story to not completely flop and for Treyarch to not just kind of do the same thing with the DLC maps. As long as there is a consistent level of quality across the entire year's worth of content, we are going to be absolutely fucking eating so good. Then as well, next year is rumored to be a Black Ops 2 remaster, sort of like how Modern Warfare 3 was an MW3 remaster-ish. So if that's the case, then personally, this is going to be the best 2 years of my goddamn life. Black Ops 2 to me is my favorite game ever made, bar none. Don't even have to include in the Call of Duty franchise in there. It's just my favorite game ever made. You can argue with a brick wall that it's not the GOAT. I don't care. I think it's the greatest game ever made. But still, so the Zombies community obviously really liked a lot about Black Ops 2, but obviously didn't love some stuff about Black Ops 2. We had a video yesterday, or a couple days ago now, talking about Transit, which I think was overhated and you should go watch. Because Transit really is not as bad as a lot of people wanted to claim it is. Hey, and while you're here, before you click on that video, you should like and subscribe because this channel is really cool and I kind of ran about dumb shit quite a lot. I'm going to be doing it a lot more because I like to autistically talk about my obsessions. And I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you had a good day. Love you. Bye.